There's a moment in each of our lives when we look around and realize we're completely lost. We no longer know who we are, where we're going, or if we'll ever find our true place in the world. It's like walking through a dark forest, without a trail, without a compass, without any hope of seeing the sunlight again. Maybe you're experiencing that moment right now. Maybe you feel like your life is directionless, that your dreams have fallen by the wayside, that you're not who you're supposed to be. If this resonates with you, then you need to know the story of a man who spent most of his life exactly like that. Lost, adrift, rejecting his own destiny. A man who became one of the greatest kings of Middle-earth, not in spite of his journey, through darkness but because of it. His name was Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and his lessons can completely transform the way you see your own journey. Welcome to another transformative video here on the channel. Today we're going to dive deep into the crystal-clear waters of Aragorn's wisdom, the King of Gondor, to discover how a lost wanderer became the leader the world needed. If you're feeling lost, directionless, or questioning your purpose in life, this video was made especially for you. In the next pages of our journey together, you'll discover 25 profound teachings that will illuminate your path, awaken your dormant courage, and reveal the king or queen that exists within you. Each lesson we'll share is not just a beautiful reflection, but a practical tool you can apply immediately to your life to find clarity, purpose, and the strength needed to embrace who you truly are. Prepare for an inner transformation that will begin today and continue to echo with every step of your journey. Lesson 1. Not all those who wander are lost. The first and perhaps most powerful lesson Aragorn teaches us is that there's a fundamental difference between wandering and being lost. For decades he walked the wildlands as a ranger, and many saw him as aimless, purposeless. But Aragorn knew something few understood. Sometimes we need to wander to find our true path. You may be going through a period in your life where you feel like you're just wandering, without a clear direction. Maybe you've changed careers several times, or you're questioning your past choices, or you simply don't know what the next step is. But listen closely. Not every period of uncertainty is a tragedy. Sometimes it's exactly what we need to discover. Who we really are beneath the expectations of others and the roles we thought we should play. Aragorn spent years protecting the borders of the Shire, taking care of people who didn't even know of his existence. He wasn't lost. He was preparing. He was learning to lead through quiet service, developing the wisdom needed to one day rule a kingdom. When you feel lost, ask yourself, am I not in fact preparing for something greater? Is this phase of uncertainty not teaching me lessons I will need in the future? Allow yourself to wander with purpose, knowing that each uncertain step may be leading you exactly where you need to be. Lesson 2. A true king serves before he rules. Throughout his journey, even before accepting his royal heritage, Aragorn served. He served as a ranger, protecting the innocent. He served as a member of the Fellowship of the Ring, putting the mission above his own fears. He served as a leader at Helm's Deep and on the Pelennor fields, fighting alongside his men. This is a truth that our society often forgets. True leadership is born from service, not from power. If you want to find your purpose in life, start by asking not what can I gain, but how can I serve? When you focus on how you can contribute, help, make a difference in the lives of those around you, something magical happens. You begin to discover your true talents, your genuine passions, and the path to your personal fulfillment becomes clearer. Aragorn never sought the throne out of personal ambition. He accepted it because he understood that it was through service to his people that he could express his true nature. Similarly, you will find your path not when you focus only on your own desires, but when you discover how your unique gifts can be used to benefit others. Start small. Help a colleague, volunteer for a cause you believe in, or simply be more present for the people you love. Purpose arises naturally when we put service at the center of our lives. Lesson 3. The crown doesn't make the king. Choices do. One of the most profound insights about Aragorn is that he became a true king long before he wore any crown. His actions, his choices, his character, all of this defined him as a leader, not his lineage or titles. How many times do we wait for perfect circumstances, for the recognition of others, or for external permission to begin living as the person we know we can be. Aragorn teaches us that we don't need to wait. You don't need a specific degree to start sharing your wisdom. You don't need an official position to start leading by example. You don't need everyone's approval to start living according to your deepest values. Inner royalty, true personal power, comes from the small choices we make every day. When you choose honesty even when lying would be easier, you're exercising real power. When you choose compassion instead of anger, you're demonstrating true strength. When you choose to persevere even when everyone else gives up, you are showing genuine leadership. Every conscious choice you make, every moment you act in accordance with your highest values, you are crowning yourself king or queen of your own life. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect circumstances. Start today making choices that reflect who you truly are and who you want to become. Lesson 4. The past doesn't define your future. Arthur carried the weight of a tarnished legacy. His ancestor Isildur had the chance to destroy the One Ring and failed, allowing evil to persist in the world. For generations, this failure haunted his lineage, and Arthur grew up believing he might be too weak, that he might carry the same flaw that led to Isildur's downfall. How many of us carry the weight of past failures, our own or our families'? How often do we let past mistakes define our future possibilities? Arthur shows us that no matter what happened before, we always have the power to write a new chapter. You may come from a dysfunctional family, but that doesn't mean you're destined to repeat the same patterns. You may have failed in the past, but that doesn't mean you're doomed to fail forever. You may have made decisions you regret, but each new day is an opportunity to choose differently. Redemption isn't just possible, it's the natural state of anyone willing to grow and change. When Arthur finally wielded the sword Andúril, reforged from the shards of Narsil, he wasn't just picking up a weapon, he was symbolically transforming the fragments of the past into something new and powerful. You too can take the broken pieces of your story and forge them into something beautiful. Your mistakes can become wisdom, your wounds can become compassion, your past can become the foundation for an extraordinary future. Lesson 5. True strength comes from embracing vulnerability. There's a powerful scene where Arthur, standing before his ancestor's tomb, breaks down and cries. This moment of vulnerability doesn't make him weaker. It makes him more human, more relatable, more real. In a world that constantly tells us to be strong, to never show weakness, Arthur reminds us that authentic vulnerability is, in fact, a form of courage. When you allow others to see your struggles, your fears, your insecurities, you're not diminishing yourself. You're connecting with the universal human experience. We all have fears. We all face moments of doubt. We all, at times, feel inadequate for the challenges life throws our way. The difference between those who grow and those who remain stagnant isn't the absence of vulnerability, but the courage to be vulnerably constructively. This means being honest about your limitations without defining yourself by them. It means asking for help when you need it, without viewing yourself as a failure. It means admitting you don't have all the answers while continuing to strive for growth. When you embrace your complete humanity, including the parts that seem imperfect, you break free from the prison of the perfect image. And it's in that freedom that you find your true strength. People connect with authenticity, not perfection. Your vulnerability might be exactly what someone needs to see to find courage on their own journey. Lesson 6. Fear is an advisor, not a master. Arthur felt fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of repeating past mistakes, but he never let fear make his decisions for him. Instead, he used fear as information, as an advisor that warned him of risks, but never as the commander of his actions. This is a crucial distinction that can completely transform your relationship with uncertainty and risk. Fear, at its core, is a protective mechanism. It alerts us to potential dangers and prepares us to face them. The problem arises when we allow fear to paralyze us or prevent us from growing. When you feel fear about an important decision, stop and listen to what it's trying to tell you. Maybe it's warning you about real risks you need to consider. Maybe it's showing you areas where you need to better prepare. Or maybe it's simply reacting to the unknown, which is natural and normal. The secret is to thank fear for the information, make necessary adjustments based on that information, and then make your decision based on your values and goals, not your anxieties. Arthur felt fear before every battle, but he fought anyway. He felt fear about assuming the throne, but he did it because he knew it was the right thing to do. You too can feel fear and act courageously simultaneously. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's conscious action in spite of fear. Lesson 7. Everyone has something to teach. Throughout his journey, Arthur learned from everyone. From Elrond, who taught him ancestral wisdom. From Gandalf, who showed him how to lead others. From Legolas and Gimli, who taught him about true friendship. Even from the hobbits, who showed him that greatness has nothing to do with physical size. This humility to learn is one of the hallmarks of a true leader and a wise person. How often do we miss opportunities for growth because we think we already know everything we need to know? How often do we judge people by appearances and miss out on the lessons they could teach us? Every person you encounter on your journey, regardless of their age, social standing, or apparent importance, carries unique experiences and perspectives that can enrich your understanding of the world. A child can teach you about wonder and spontaneity. An elder can share wisdom gleaned from decades of experience. A difficult colleague can teach you patience and understanding. Even those you consider problematic can be mirrors reflecting aspects of yourself that need attention. When you cultivate a mindset of lifelong learning, every interaction becomes an opportunity for growth. You stop dividing the world into people who have something to offer and people who don't. And you start to see that everyone has something unique to contribute. Lesson 8. Patience is the virtue of those destined for greatness. Arthur waited 87 years to assume his throne. 87 years. In our culture of instant gratification, this seems almost impossible to comprehend. But Arthur understood something our generation often forgets. Truly valuable things in life require time to fully develop. During those decades of waiting, he didn't remain inactive. He prepared, learned, served, and grew. When he finally became king, he wasn't just someone entitled to the throne, he was someone truly prepared to wield that power wisely. His patience wasn't passivity, it was active preparation. You might be feeling frustrated because your dreams are taking a long time to materialize. Perhaps you see younger or less experienced people achieving successes you're still pursuing. It's natural to feel this impatience, but consider that the waiting period might be exactly what you need to become the person capable of handling success when it arrives. Use this preparation period to deepen your skills, expand your wisdom, and strengthen your character. Each day of waiting can be a day of growth if you choose to see it that way. The seeds planted in the autumn bloom in the spring, not because nature is slow, but because it respects the natural process of growth. Trust the timing of your life. Keep preparing, keep growing, keep serving. Your spring will come, and when it does, you will be ready. Lesson 9. True identity cannot be given or taken away by others. For years, Arthur was known only as a wanderer, a man without a fixed home. Many didn't know his true identity, and some who did questioned whether he was worthy of his title. But his real identity didn't depend on external recognition. He knew who he was, regardless of how others saw or called him. This is a profound lesson for all of us living in an age of social media and constant external validation. How often do we base our sense of worth on what others think of us? How often do we allow criticism or lack of recognition to make us question our own value? Arthur teaches us that our true identity comes from within, from our connection to our values, our understanding of our purpose, our acceptance of our unique history. You are not defined by the position you hold, the salary you earn, the likes you receive on your posts, or the approval of specific people. You are defined by who you choose to be when no one is looking, by the values you uphold even when it's difficult, by how you treat people who can do nothing for you. This inner identity is unshakable because it doesn't depend on external circumstances. When you build a solid sense of who you are based on your own internal standards, you become free from the constant need for external validation. You can still value feedback and recognition from others, but they don't determine your self-worth. Lesson 10. Great leaders lift others up, not rise above others. One of Arthur's most striking characteristics as king was his ability to make everyone around him feel valuable and capable. He didn't lead through intimidation or superiority, but through inspiration and empowerment. He saw the potential in people and helped them realize it. This is the difference between true leadership and simply having power over others. Real leadership is about raising the level of everyone around you, not about placing yourself above them. Even if you don't have a formal leadership position, you can apply this principle in all your relationships. When you focus on helping others grow, discover their talents, and overcome their fears, something interesting happens. You also grow in the process. There's a universal law that says what you give, you receive back multiplied. When you genuinely invest in other people's success, you create a network of support and goodwill that returns to you in unexpected ways. Look for opportunities to mentor even informally. Offer encouragement when someone is facing challenges. Recognize and celebrate the achievements of the people around you. Share knowledge and opportunities. Be the kind of person who makes others feel better about themselves after interacting with you. This approach not only makes you a natural leader, but also creates a legacy of positive impact that extends far beyond your own life. Lesson 11. True power lies in knowing when not to use it. Arthur possessed immense power as king, but he rarely wielded it in an authoritarian way. He understood that true power comes not from the ability to force others to do his will, but from the wisdom of when and how to use his influence. There were times when he could have solved problems through force, but he chose diplomacy. Situations where he could have imposed his will, but he preferred to seek consensus. This discernment about the use of power is a mark of true maturity. In your personal and professional life, you probably have more power than you realize. Power to influence opinions, to affect emotions, to make decisions that impact others. The question isn't whether you have power, but how you use it. Do you use your knowledge to humiliate others or to educate them? Do you use your position for self-benefit or to create value for everyone? Do you use your influence to divide or to unite? True and lasting power comes not from the ability to dominate, but from the ability to inspire. Not from brute force, but from wisdom applied with compassion. When you wield power responsibly and humbly, people follow you not because they are obligated, but because they want to. They trust you because they know you will use your influence for the common good, not just for self-benefit. This type of leadership creates genuine loyalty and lasting respect. Lesson 12. Solitude prepares the soul for community. For years, Arthur walked alone through the wildlands. This solitude wasn't punishment but preparation. In moments of silence and isolation, he learned to know himself, to confront his own demons, to develop inner strength independent of external validation. When he finally joined the Fellowship of the Ring and later became king, he was ready to genuinely connect with others because he had first connected with himself. In our hyper-connected society, many people fear solitude. They fill every free moment with distractions, music, conversations, activities, anything to avoid being alone with their own thoughts. But Arthur teaches us that conscious solitude is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. It's in moments of silence that we hear our inner voice. It's in quietude that we process our experiences and extract wisdom from them. It's alone that we confront our fears and insecurities without having to perform for others. I'm not talking about harmful social isolation, but intentional periods of reflective solitude. Time to meditate, to journal, to walk in nature, to simply be silent with your thoughts. When you develop a healthy relationship with solitude, you become a more interesting person and more capable of connecting deeply with others. You stop seeking in relationships things that only you can give yourself, and this makes your connections more authentic and less needy. Lesson 13. Honor is more valuable than convenience. Arthur always chose to do what was right, even when it was inconvenient, dangerous, or costly. When he promised to protect Frodo, he kept his word, even when it meant facing mortal danger. When he swore to serve Gondor, He fulfilled that oath even when it meant accepting responsibilities he didn't desire. His word was his law, and his honor was more important than his personal convenience. In a world where we frequently see people breaking promises when it becomes difficult to keep them, where contracts are broken when they are no longer profitable, where commitments are abandoned when they become inconvenient, Arthur's integrity shines like a beacon. His reputation for reliability wasn't built on grand gestures, but on thousands of small choices of keeping his word, even in the simplest situations. When you consistently do what you say you will do, when your actions align with your words, when people know they can count on you regardless of the circumstances, you build a kind of social capital that can't be bought or faked. Your word becomes your brand, and people begin to trust you instinctively. This integrity also brings inner peace. When you live in accordance with your values, when you don't have to remember lies you told or promises you broke, when you can sleep at night knowing you did the right thing even when it was difficult, you experience a kind of freedom that few know. Start today treating your word as sacred. Be reliable in the small things, and you will become trustworthy in the big ones. Lesson 14. Wisdom grows in the garden of experience. Arthur wasn't born wise. His wisdom was cultivated through decades of diverse experiences, mistakes made and lessons learned. He walked with elves and learned about patience and long-term perspective. He fought battles and learned about courage and strategy. He served humble people and learned about compassion and humility. Each experience added a layer to his wisdom. Often we want shortcuts to wisdom. We want to learn through books, videos, and the advice of others without having to go through the difficult experiences that generate real growth. But Arthur shows us that there's no substitute for lived experience. His words carried weight because they came from someone who had walked many different paths. This doesn't mean you should seek unnecessary hardship, but it does mean you should see every experience, including the challenging ones, as opportunities for growth. When you face a setback, ask yourself, what lesson can I extract from this? When you go through a difficult time, ask, how can this make me wiser or more compassionate? When you have a positive experience, reflect, what principles can I identify here that will help me in the future? Wisdom comes not just from what happens to you, but from how you process and apply those experiences. Two people can go through the same situation, and one emerge wiser, while the other remains unchanged. The difference lies in the willingness to reflect, learn, and grow from each experience. Lesson 15. Destiny reveals itself through action, not contemplation. Arthur didn't discover his true destiny sitting on a mountain meditating on the purpose of life. He discovered it through action, service, engagement with the world. It was through walking, protecting, serving, fighting, that he gradually understood who he truly was and what he was destined to do. This is a truth that our self-help culture sometimes forgets. We can't think or meditate our way out of confusion about our purpose. We have to act our way out of it. Purpose reveals itself through engagement, not through endless analysis. If you're feeling lost about your direction in life, the answer isn't necessarily more introspection. It might be more action. Start doing things that resonate with you, even if you're not sure where they will lead. Volunteer for causes that matter to you. Take on projects that challenge you. Say yes to opportunities that scare you a little. Through action, you will discover what energizes you and what drains you. You will identify natural talents you didn't even know you had. You will meet people and opportunities that will open unexpected doors. Your purpose isn't something you find like a buried treasure. It's something you build through consistent choices and actions. Each conscious action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become and the life you want to create. Stop waiting for complete clarity before acting. Start acting with the clarity you have now, and more clarity will emerge in the process. Lesson 16. True wealth lies in relationships, not possessions. As king, Arthur had access to every imaginable material wealth, but the things he valued most were his relationships, his friendship with Legolas and Gimli, his love for Arwen, his connection with his people. He understood that at the end of life, it's not the things we possess that determine the richness of our existence, but the genuine connections we build with others. This insight is even more relevant in our modern world, where we are constantly bombarded with messages about the importance of accumulating more things, earning more money, achieving more status. There's nothing wrong with material prosperity, but when it becomes the primary focus of our energy and attention, we lose sight of what truly makes life meaningful. Think about your most precious memories. They likely don't involve objects you bought, but moments you shared with important people. Deep conversations with friends, laughter with family, moments of connection and shared vulnerability. Investing in relationships requires time, energy, and attention, resources that are limited. But this investment pays dividends that last a lifetime and beyond. Healthy relationships give us support during difficult times, amplify our joy during happy moments, and help us grow through the mirror that others offer us. Start today to more consciously invest in your relationships. Be more present when you're with important people. Listen more attentively. Share more authentically. Show appreciation more frequently. This may be the simplest and most impactful change you can make in your life. Lesson 17. Forgiveness liberates both the offender and the victim. Arthur had every reason to harbor resentment. His ancestors had been betrayed. His rightful place had been denied for decades. He had faced rejection and doubt from many who should have supported him. Yet he chose forgiveness over bitterness, reconciliation over revenge. When he finally became king, he didn't punish those who had opposed him. He embraced them as fellow citizens of his realm. This choice wasn't weakness. It was profound strength and wisdom. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as condoning wrong behavior or allowing people to escape consequences. But true forgiveness, as Arthur demonstrated, is about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying resentment and anger. When you hold on to grudges, you give others power over your emotional state and your future. You remain tied to past hurts in ways that prevent you from moving forward fully. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened or allowing abuse to continue. It means choosing not to let past wrongs control your present and future. It means taking back your power from those who hurt you by refusing to let their actions define your emotional reality. This is one of the most challenging but liberating things you can do. Start with small hurts and work your way up to bigger ones. Notice how much mental and emotional energy you spend thinking about people who wronged you, and imagine how you could redirect that energy toward building the life you want. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, and like Arthur, you'll find that it often opens doors to reconciliation and healing that seemed impossible before. Lesson 18. Humility is the foundation of true greatness. Even as king, Arthur maintained remarkable humility. He didn't view his position as something that made him inherently better than others, but as something that gave him a greater responsibility to serve. He consulted advisors, listened to different perspectives, and admitted when he didn't know something. This humility didn't diminish his authority. In fact, it strengthened it, because people trusted a leader who didn't pretend to have all the answers. True humility isn't about diminishing yourself or denying your talents and accomplishments. It's about having a realistic assessment of your capabilities, acknowledging both your strengths and your limitations. It's understanding that, no matter how much you've achieved, there's always more to learn and ways to grow. It's recognizing that your accomplishments were possible not only because of your own effort, but also because of the help of others, the opportunities you received, and factors beyond your control. When you operate from genuine humility, you become more approachable to people, more open to feedback, and more capable of learning and growing continuously. You stop wasting energy trying to prove your worth to others, and can focus that energy on actually creating value. Humility also protects you from the arrogance that can come with success, keeping you connected to your humanity and to the people around you. Practice humility by regularly acknowledging the contributions of others to your success, asking for honest feedback, and admitting when you don't know something instead of pretending you do. This conscious vulnerability is actually a form of strength. Lesson 19. Hope is a choice, not a feeling. Even in the darkest moments when the chances of success seemed minimal, Arthur chose hope. Not because he felt hopeful, but because he recognized that hope was essential to any possibility of victory. He understood that hope isn't a passive, feeling that you either have or don't have, but an active stance that you can choose to adopt. This distinction is crucial for navigating the difficult moments of life. Hope isn't naive optimism that ignores the reality of challenges. It's the conscious choice to believe that, even in the face of difficulties, it's possible to find a way forward. It's the decision to focus on possibilities instead of only problems, on solutions instead of only obstacles. When facing a difficult situation, you always have a choice about where to focus your mental and emotional attention. You can focus on what's wrong, what you've lost, what could go wrong, or you can choose to focus on what's still possible, the resources you have, the small actions you can take to improve your situation. This choice of focus doesn't immediately change your external circumstances, but it radically changes your ability to respond to them constructively. Hope generates energy, creativity, and perseverance. Despair generates paralysis, resignation, and defeat. Even when you don't naturally feel hope, you can choose acts of hope, planning for the future, investing in improvements, taking small positive actions. Sometimes acting with hope creates the feeling of hope, not the other way around. Lesson 20. True courage grows through practice. Arthur wasn't born courageous. His courage was developed through years of small and large choices to do what was right, even when he was afraid. Each time he faced a challenge despite his fear, he strengthened his ability to be courageous the next time. Courage is like a muscle that strengthens with use. Many people wait to feel courageous before acting courageously, but Arthur shows us that the process works the other way around. You act courageously despite fear, and through that action develop a greater capacity for future courageous actions. Start with small acts of courage in your daily life. Have a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Stand up for yourself when someone treats you poorly. Make a decision you know is right, even when others may disapprove. Each time you choose courage over comfort, you're investing in your future ability to face bigger challenges. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but conscious action in the presence of fear. Don't wait for fear to disappear. Learn to act while fear is present. Over time, you'll discover you can feel fear and still do extraordinary things. This ability to act despite fear is one of the most valuable skills you can develop, because virtually everything worthwhile in life requires some degree of courage to achieve. Lesson 21. Time heals, but only if you allow it. Arthur carried deep wounds for a long time, the pain of not knowing his father, the weight of unwanted responsibility, the anguish of witnessing suffering he couldn't prevent. But he didn't allow these wounds to define him or embitter him. He processed his pain, learned from it, and gradually allowed it to transform into wisdom and compassion. Time by itself doesn't heal emotional wounds. You can carry grudges for decades without them diminishing if you don't actively participate in the healing process. Healing requires that you feel the pain completely, understand its lessons, and then make the conscious choice to release it. This doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending it wasn't important. It means processing the experience so that it becomes wisdom instead of bitterness, strength instead of weakness. Arthur transformed his pain of not having a father into motivation to be a paternal leader for his people. He converted his anguish over the world's suffering into determination to fight for good. His wounds became sources of compassion instead of bitterness. When you're going through a difficult time, remember that the pain you feel today can become the wisdom you offer others tomorrow. Your current struggles can be the preparation for how you'll help someone facing similar challenges in the future. Allow yourself to feel completely, but don't settle permanently in the pain. Use it as fuel for growth and as a bridge to deeper connection with others. Lesson 22. Loyalty must be earned, not demanded. Arthur inspired deep loyalty in his followers, not through demands or threats, but through his consistent example of integrity, courage, and genuine care for their well-being. He first demonstrated loyalty to others, to his friends, to his mission, to his values, and that loyalty was naturally reciprocated. He understood that true loyalty can't be forced, it must be inspired. In any relationship, whether personal, professional, or romantic, healthy loyalty is based on mutual respect and earned trust, not obligation or fear. When you demand loyalty without first demonstrating it, you create resentment. When you inspire loyalty through your consistent actions, you create genuine devotion. This applies to how you lead a team, how you treat your friends, how you behave in romantic relationships, and even how you interact with your children. People are naturally loyal to those who consistently demonstrate that they deserve that loyalty. Start by being loyal yourself. Be trustworthy. Keep confidences. Stand up for people when they're not present. Genuinely invest in the success and well-being of others. When you consistently demonstrate these behaviors, you'll find that people naturally want to reciprocate that loyalty. They become your allies not because they're obligated, but because they choose to be. This kind of loyalty is far stronger and more enduring than any loyalty based on fear or obligation. Lesson 23. Wisdom lies in knowing when to fight and when to make peace. Arthur was a formidable warrior, but he didn't solve every problem through force. He knew when it was appropriate to fight, and when it was wiser to seek diplomacy, negotiation, or compromise. This discernment about when to use different approaches is a hallmark of true wisdom. In life, you also face situations that require this kind of discernment. There are times when you need to stand up for your values, set firm boundaries, or fight for something you believe in. There are other times when it's wiser to seek mutual understanding, find common ground, or simply let something go. The key is to develop the wisdom to distinguish between these situations. Ask yourself, is this a fundamental principle worth defending, or a minor difference that can be resolved through understanding? Is this person genuinely open to dialogue, or just looking for a fight? Will I regret fighting for this more than letting it go? Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is fight. Other times the bravest thing is to make peace. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Develop a repertoire of approaches to conflict. Sometimes you need to be firm. Sometimes you need to be flexible. Sometimes you need to be patient. Sometimes you need to be assertive. The situation should determine your strategy, not your personality, or your emotions in the moment. Lesson 24. Legacy is built in daily actions, not grand gestures. Arthur's legacy wasn't built on the day he became king, but in thousands of small actions over decades. Each person he protected as the wanderer, each moment of courage during the mission, each wise decision as a leader. His legacy was the cumulative result of consistent, conscious choices, not a few dramatic moments. We often think of legacy as something we create through grand feats or spectacular achievements. But the truth is, our legacy is built in the small choices we make every day. How you treat the waiter at the restaurant, how you respond when someone makes a mistake, how you behave when no one is paying attention, how you use your free time, how you speak about others when they aren't present. Every interaction you have with another person is an opportunity to leave a positive impact. Every choice you make is a vote for the kind of person you want to be remembered as. You don't need to wait for a big opportunity to start building a meaningful legacy. It can start today, right now, with the next person you meet. Be kind when kindness isn't required. Be generous when no one is counting. Be principled when it would be easier not to be. Be encouraging when others are being critical. These small actions create ripples that spread in ways you may never fully see, but that make a real difference in the world. Lesson 25. True home is where you can authentically be yourself. For a long time, Arthur didn't have a fixed physical home. He wandered many lands, lived in many places, but never truly felt at home until he found people who completely accepted him for who he was. His true home wasn't a geographical location, but a sense of belonging and acceptance he found with the Fellowship of the Ring, and later with Arwen and her people. This understanding of what constitutes a true home is profoundly relevant to all of us. You can live in a beautiful house in a thriving city, surrounded by people, and still not feel truly at home if you can't authentically be yourself in those spaces. Conversely, you can feel at home in simple places, with people who may not have much materially, but who see and accept you for who you truly are. Home is where you can lower your defenses, where you don't need to pretend to be someone you're not, where your values are respected, where your imperfections are accepted, where You can grow and change without fear of judgment. Sometimes creating this sense of home requires the courage to leave situations where you can't be authentic. Other times it requires vulnerability to show who you truly are to the people around you. And sometimes it requires patience to find your tribe, the people who truly understand and value you. If you haven't yet found this sense of home, don't give up. Continue being authentically yourself. Continue seeking genuine connections. Continue creating spaces where others can also be authentic. Sometimes the best way to find home is to create one for others. We've reached the end of this extraordinary journey into the depths of Arthur's wisdom, and I hope you feel, as I do, that something fundamental has shifted within you during these past pages. These weren't just words we shared, but life principles that have the power to completely transform your experience in the world. Arthur taught us that no matter how lost we feel today, no matter how many times we doubt ourselves, within each of us there is a king or queen waiting to be crowned, not by others, but by our own courageous and conscious choices. You've learned that wandering doesn't mean being lost, that vulnerability is a form of strength, that fear can be a wise advisor when we don't allow it to be our master. You've discovered that true leadership is born of service, that humility is the foundation of greatness, and that hope is a choice we can make even in the darkest moments. Each of these 25 lessons isn't just a pretty reflection, but a practical tool you can use to navigate life's challenges with more wisdom, courage, and purpose. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. True transformation happens when you take these lessons and begin applying them to your daily life. When you choose to serve before you lead, when you embrace your vulnerability as strength, when you treat every person you meet as a potential teacher, when you build your legacy through small conscious actions every day. Arthur spent 87 years preparing to be king, but you don't need to wait decades to start living like the royalty you are. It can start today, right now, with the next choice you make. Remember, you don't need the approval of others to start living authentically. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances to start applying these principles. You don't need to feel brave to act bravely. Every moment is an opportunity to choose who you want to be, and each conscious choice is a step toward the extraordinary person you are destined to become. If these words resonated with you, if you feel this message could help someone in your life who is also going through a time of uncertainty or lack of direction, I invite you to share this video with them. Sometimes, the difference between someone giving up and someone finding the strength to continue is a single message of hope at the right moment. You can be the bearer of that message for someone today. And if you want to continue this journey of growth and discovery, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Every week we explore the wisdom of characters who faced the greatest challenges and emerged transformed, because we believe their stories can illuminate our own journey. Leave a comment sharing which of these lessons resonated most with you, or share how you plan to apply these teachings in your life. Your experience can inspire others who are walking the same path. Before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with one final thought. Arthur discovered that his destiny wasn't to escape who he was, but to fully embrace his true identity. He stopped running from his heritage and began to honor it through his actions. You too have a unique heritage, your talents, your experiences, your singular perspective on the world. Stop running from what makes you special, and start honoring those gifts through how you choose to live. The world needs the king or queen that exists within you, not a perfect, impossible version of yourself, but the authentic, courageous, and compassionate version you become when you stop hiding and start shining. Your journey of discovery and growth doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. And I will be here week after week to walk alongside you on this extraordinary adventure we call life. Until next time, remember, you are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be to become who you are destined to be. And that destiny? It begins with the next choice you make. Choose wisely, choose bravely, choose with love. The kingdom of your extraordinary life awaits you.